Hey, hey, it's the 12th of June, 2024. This is Plutus PBL Live Coding with Gimbalabs and Friends. And we are in the process of rolling out the course. And right before we went live, Alex said he was considering a proposal. So why don't we start there? Alex, what are you thinking?
Thank you. Well, I'm thinking that we kind of, the tension is that we propose that this day, Wednesday, would be specifically open for discussing the course with the students. And although it's really early to make a quantitative evaluation of this, I want to think ahead and kind of try to think about how do we keep this day to the point that we assign to it, right? Because if there are no students, what's the point of having a meeting with the students? So initially, I was thinking that I would attract students using Telegram chats from Russia. And I hope somebody will join because I shared the announcement for the Plutus PBL in the Cardano Russia chat, which was the only chat that supported the proposal without pushback. I also tried researching, researched this theme also in chats generally, like for Haskell, for Rust, and for like finding jobs in Rust. And in particular in Rust, I got a lot of pushback, and people were just downvoting my post, like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Reaction is a reaction. What's the outtake, from this reaction? But this was limited to one language segment. And then from this point, I'm thinking that our advocacy and outreach circle doesn't really do a good job of advocating and improving Gimbalabs outreach because the members who signed up for the circle pretty busy and they don't have the resources to invest into this work. And on the other hand, other people didn't invest into this circle because probably they are not aware of what it is supposed to be doing. Because it seems like a crucial work. Attracting new people to Gimbalabs is we are teaching and we have to have students. So what I did, I wrote advocacy and outreach strategy for Gimbalabs, and I posted it in Notion, and I asked Notion members to review it. In essence, what talk about is there are 4 categories of developers which I was able to identify, which would be interested in taking a course. So one category is students. Second category is Web 2 developers who want to get into Web 3. Third category is crypto enthusiasts, right? People from other chains who sort of, want to build products and like, who did we have? What was his name? Gabriel, right? So crypto enthusiast, a person from other industry and interested in how to build solutions in his industry using blockchain. So he came to Cardano to understand it. And then there are people who already work in Web3, but just in other networks like Solana, like Ethereum, like elsewhere, who we could attract. So for each of the categories, there are key messages that we could kind of, our value proposition. And at that, like my inspiration sort of stopped, like it happens with me often, and I got lost. And just now, before we were checking in, I got idea, wow, we can have a Gimbalabs proposal about that. Just there needs to be right driver, and we have to kind of match the people and the resources. So people who would be interested in improving like social media skills and writing, right? So this is very general what I write. I hope there are some comments on how to improve these messages, but we can take this as a sort of baseline, you know, or like whatever is like template, and then craft messages, and then try to improve our outreach by being more active in social networks. In particular, I think we're missing LinkedIn, because I don't see any one of us being active on LinkedIn. Maybe Sebastian, I don't know. So maybe Sebastian is doing this work. And maybe I'm not aware, but Sebastian was doing this work in Twitter and maybe LinkedIn. Maybe I missed it. But I'm wondering how we could sort of write a Gimbalabs proposal so that we improve what help Sebastian do what he's doing and improve the outreach of Gimbalabs and bring new students. Yeah, Claudia.
Sure. Open to ideas. General ideas of how to make a better job on that area.
Yeah, Claudia, what do you think?
Hi, well, it was just actually a general impression I got about Cardano. Look, this, you know, I'm stuck in Buenos Aires, so I participate in the events the Cardano Latam community organizes. But, you know, I try to follow online, a lot of things are going on. And I have a general sensation with Cardano, even like probably half the people getting funding from Catalyst projects, they don't have a clue what the UTX model is or how to write a contract in Cardano. You know, nobody seems to care about the technical aspects of Cardano or learning how to develop in Cardano. They seem to just come to it because there's like free money being given away. And, you know, it's a lot about, you know, social outreach and this and that, but nobody seems to care about learning and education of doing Cardano itself. So I feel there's more like a general problem with Cardano. There's all this grand posturing about how wonderful Cardano is to solve the world's problems. But I see very little in terms of actual saying, come learn Cardano, these are the resources. All these presentations don't even have a link to the Plutus Pioneer program or anything that officially Cardano does to educate people. So let alone the you know, mavericks that try to do things in a different way, like Gimbalabs. I, for instance, try to convince the people here to publicize the Gimbalabs courses. Say, look, it's free. Give it a try. If you don't like it, just that's nothing to lose. And yet, I didn't manage to get them to publish on the newsletter to disseminate the news. So, you know, I share Alex's frustration, but I think it's not a matter of just social skills about how to promote the things. There seems to be a more general problem with Cardano people, the people that come into the ecosystem without really caring about it. That's my impression.
Well, I believe there are mechanisms, you know, because Catalyst grants, they don't just give them away. It's one thing to get a grant, and then it's another thing to make the deliverables and, you know, to actually cash it in. I think like, I don't know, has anyone probably has more experience than I do with Catalyst grants, and I believe, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so like they don't just give money away for free, and people either leave the ecosystem frustrated or like, free money, I didn't get it, I'm not gonna like spend my time here. But if people are genuinely interested in building something, maybe they are sort of, you know, will find their way sooner or later. And so maybe just the best we can do is just patience, you know, like exercise patience and do nothing.
Well, and I think that's the key thing that you just said there, right? Once there's enough people interested in doing something, it'll happen, right? And it's all a matter of priorities. So here at Gimbalabs, we spent the first 2 months of the year creating a primary driver statement and saying, okay, well, here's 5 circles that we could use to help organize our work. And so far, there's been initial work in all of the circles, and the education circle is probably where most of the action is happening, right? We've been building the Plutus PBL 2024 course. However, there's not yet, you know, momentum behind the outreach and advocacy work. And that's just a pragmatic statement, right? I think the most important habit I'd like to encourage in all of us is to say, yeah, this is not yet happening. Okay, so if it's not yet happening, what's the pathway to get it there? Aha, well, it's people deciding that that's their priority, okay? And that's the role of a proposal, right? So Alex, this is a great draft. There's some really, really good strategic ideas, and a proposal is necessary when you're asking other people to do something or you're asking for funding, right? So you have these ideas. The reason to write a proposal would be that you want to ask something of other people, right? To invest their time, or you need funds from the Gimbalabs treasury.
Yeah. So the point I'm making is like, is there point in writing a proposal to get the funds from Gimbalabs treasury to incentivize people to give their time more to the advocacy and outreach and decide to take on this responsibility more than they're doing now, or there is no point in it? And that's like was what I was making in the beginning. Like,
Right.
I don't understand this, and this is what I'm confused about, and this is the question I'm asking.
Well,
The
so you
strategy I wrote, it was fun for me, it's like,
right,
okay,
exactly. So you have to be the judge, right? So like there's no single answer to, is there a point in writing a proposal? The answer comes first from you saying, hey, this feels important enough to me that I'm going to write a proposal. That's milestone number one. If it feels important enough to you to write a proposal to ask for funding and for effort from other people, then the answer is a preliminary yes. Now, in the long run, you won't know if it's worth writing a proposal until the proposal is actually successful, right? Do people engage with it? And does it get passed? That's the ultimate judge of whether it's worth writing a proposal. I don't know if any of us could say for sure what the answer to that is right now. What you can do is you can engage in what's called the advice process. And the advice process is where you go and you ask individuals, hey, are you interested in working on this right now? Are you in, right? Here's a draft. Here's some strategic ideas I have. Are you interested in the next X time frame dedicating a certain amount of time to this problem statement? And that's a way that you can sense whether or not the proposal would have enough support from individual people to move forward with it. So maybe that's your next step.
Yeah, aren't this what we're doing now?
Say it again.
Isn't this what we are doing now?
Okay, sure. Are you asking each of us if we would want to spend time on this starting today?
Well, let's say it in other words. How much ADA would you like to get to allocate a certain amount of time towards this and like produce deliverables? How much it would cost you, to like, and then we can compare, like, can we afford this from the treasury? And if yes, then yes. If not, then no. It's like that's the advice process. Is like, do any of the members currently present have enough, each in their back desiring for the ADA from the Gimbal treasury or from ADA treasury against their feeling that they have the ability to work out, and maybe, okay, I can help work out the deliverables, and others also maybe, like, we can collectively do this, but to work out the deliverables themselves, not describing them, but not administrating the tasks, but to assign the task. And like, how much would you ask to do that? If you were to, like, say, allocate, well, let's say 1/4 of your work
Sure.
week, like 10 hours a week, right, towards this process.
Do you want everybody here to answer that question?
Well, if they feel like it, yes. If they don't feel like that, like, you just can stay silent and everybody's silent, and we can, okay, fair enough. There's no sentiment towards developing this further. I can wait.
Yeah, totally. So I'll tell you my answer. So my answer is I can't wait to engage in marketing activities around Plutus PBL, but at this moment, I'm behind on what I hoped to deliver in my responsibilities for the education circle of delivering the course itself.
Fair enough.
For me personally, I will allocate 0 minutes to outreach and advocacy until the course is complete. Then when the course is complete, I'll be very excited to get the word out about it. So for
Fair
me,
enough. It's a good
yeah,
kind of
for me, no action necessary. I believe deeply in doing one thing at a time and trying to finish it. I'm still doing way more than one thing at a time, so I'm not achieving that ideal. But at least within this space, my #1 goal is to work within this circle. And until my current work is done, nothing will change that.
Well, now that you said your point of view, I'm pretty sure nobody else will deviate. So we can close the question.
I know, well, so we're working on that part too, right? We can decide if Gimbalabs is a group of people or it's just me. And so if people want to engage in outreach and advocacy, they might not be the people who are showing up for this meeting, but there
Yeah,
might
that's a
be a
good point.
proposal worth writing, right? Yeah, like you said at the beginning of this call, we're here for Plutus PBL. Ideally, new students are showing up for live coding. They aren't yet, which is
Yeah.
okay because the course is still being written and we've allocated very, very little time to getting the word out. The reason we've done that is nobody has taken the lead on doing it. We've done a little bit of
But
tweeting.
Bastian did, and he's doing pretty good job. I'm
Exactly.
kind of unfair in that, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
enough. I don't think it makes sense to take more of the time of this meeting
Cool.
with this question, and maybe you just reiterate and ask if there are different people who, for example, Newman may be interested or someone else. I'll come tomorrow and I will bring this up tomorrow again if there are people who might be interested. All right.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Cool. Super.
So like I said, my goal is to finish the course. And we're a little bit behind right now, and we're doing 2 things at once. We are writing the course, and we are experimenting with the Treasury. So those 2 experiments are ongoing, and related to the circles we were just looking at, we can think of this space as being for the education circle of Gimbalabs, right? And that might be a more flexible way that takes the pressure off of having the purpose be only for students who are learning right now. Yes, we are eager to get to the day where students are showing up for this session. But what we know from prior years is that students start to show up more for these sessions when the course is complete. So my proposal is, okay, until students start showing up, let's use this time to make sure we're finishing the course. Does that sound like an okay approach for using this time? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So moving forward, we can protect this Wednesday live coding time for the education circle of Gimbalabs, and we can jump right in to making sure that our first project, which is delivering PPBL 2024, gets done. And anytime students do show up, we can still give priority to them. So, right, imagine it's the same 7 of us here on this call, but 1 or 2 students do show up, say next week, right, for any number of reasons. First, we can let them ask their questions. We can address what questions they have. And then if there's time remaining, go right back into course creation mode. So with these 2 things happening at once, creating the course and testing, right, the R&D behind our contributor platform, what you can see here is that the lessons for module 102 are posted. And I'm just checking the Notion right here. 100.2, the writer was Chris. Anybody seen Chris in a little while? I haven't. It's been a little while. So we got to track him down. And then Notion says that 101.1 edit. Harsha, this one was you. So if you want to grab this guy, you should be good to go.
I'll do that, yeah.
Cool. So that gets us up to speed through the first two modules, 100 and 101. Now on 102, Sebastian and I did a different experiment where we split up the writing into writing the code examples and writing the lesson content. And so right now, these tasks, right, 102.2, 3, and 4, right? Yeah, 4 and 5. These would all fall into that bucket. So Sebastian wrote me a message on Discord last week saying, hey, what if we split the writing of these in half? We could split the rewards and then each take 150 ADA and 150 gimbals. One of us for writing the code examples, that was me, and one of us for writing the lessons, that was Sebastian. Seb, am I saying that right?
Absolutely right.
Okay. So I'll just do a little demo of what this looks like right now. It's going to be embarrassing, but it's current state, and then we can talk about what else needs to be built, which is actually kind of an interesting question at the intersection of the on-chain code of these validators and the off-chain code that we're writing in Mesh. So let's take a look at that together.
Big pardon.
Yep.
Would it break if in the first column, the text which says PPBL 2024, number of assignment and type of assignment, in the end, there was also name of the person who completed it?
Oh yeah, we can implement that. We just haven't yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it needs implementation. Can it just like add a text somewhere there?
Right.
And
Well, and remember this, and that would show up in two places. One place that would show up is in the reviewer list. So when we look at the list, let me just switch over here. When we look at the list of projects that are ready to be distributed on the reviewer dashboard, yeah, this is a very, whoops, I'm not sharing, sorry. This is a very bare minimum implementation right here, right? Because all we're seeing is the project ID, the expiration, and a button to distribute it. Ideally, that's what we would be showing right here is, hey, who was the contributor? Now you can see that in the token name when you confirm the transaction. That's why that's not built yet. But there's actually on the contributor side, you wouldn't yet see the name of who the contributor is because they haven't committed yet, right? So there's nothing to add here. Sorry, here. There's nothing to add here, right? We have the name of the task, the date, the rewards, and the commitment. And then only after you're committed would your name be associated with this. There's probably some other metadata we could show right here to make this more helpful. The other thing that doesn't exist at all yet is a historical dashboard that says, these were the commitments that were made by these contributor tokens, and here's when those went out. All of that data is on the blockchain, and it's going to be really exciting to implement that dashboard yet. It simply hasn't been done yet. So that's coming up. I was actually hoping to cover that in Mesh PBL yesterday, but as always, there's plenty of things to talk about. So that's coming. Now, what we also have here, I'll switch again back here. Actually, I don't think this wallet has my admin token in it, so this might not work. Oh, wait, I don't have the admin token. So if I did have the admin token and it's not in this wallet because it's elsewhere, as we'll see in just a moment. But if I did have it, I'd be able to see that there's a form right here that allows me to add projects to the Treasury. And it works, it's great. But I can only add projects one at a time, which is really inefficient. So another piece that's upcoming right here is the ability to add multiple projects at once, or to very quickly just manage the list of projects in a treasury. The reason that's not built yet is because this is the most bare bones prototype we could build for the contributor platform, and most of the Andamio team's development time has been focused on the course side of the platform for now. We're nearing the end of that work, and as soon as that work is done, then our attention turns to integrating the contributor side with everything that's already live at andamio.io. So that's coming soon. Why are we doing this here right now? Because we really want to do some R&D in terms of what it feels like for us to be governing this treasury right now. And the questions that we're right on the doorstep of a new level of engagement with these questions are the kind we're going to be asking on Thursdays over the next few weeks during the open spaces time, right? Who is an admin of this treasury? How do you get an admin token? Who are the reviewers? Who decides who are the reviewers and what are their responsibilities? Those are all questions that, you know, as developers, we could guess about the answers. We could propose some answers to those questions. But really, it's going to take some iterative governance work to figure out the best current answers to those questions. And that's the work right in front of us. So that's why we built this minimal implementation, to give us the ability to put our hands on some thorny governance questions that, as we get better answers to those, we'll also be integrating this into Andamio at the same time. So that's all coming. In the meantime, what that means is we need another way to update the list of projects. And we do it, kind of by hand, right? So there's a transaction right here that we can use, and we can just manipulate this list of projects by hand in the datum and the redeemer. It doesn't take too long, and there are actually scripts that Adrian wrote for doing this that work. But I figured doing this the long way, in keeping with just how we do Plutus PBL, can be a nice way to help people understand what's actually represented on chain. Okay, so this is what's called our treasury token datum. Okay, and sometimes we talk about this as the contract token. This is the list of projects that are approved for people to commit to on chain. This is the name of the project as a hex string. This is the expiration time in milliseconds, so we have epoch time. This is the amount of Lovelace, and this is the amount of gimbals. Okay? And gimbals are just like ADA. They have 1 million parts. So this is 300.0 gimbals, and same thing with ADA. And these correspond precisely to what we were just looking at in the project list, except for the fact that this list right here that you can see on my screen is slightly longer than the one we would see over here right now, because a few of the projects that were posted last time I did this have already been committed to and claimed, so they don't need to be here anymore. Okay. So we can read this. Let's just find the transactions in question. If I go over here again, this time with a contributor token, the first one in the list says PPBL 2024 1002 right. Let's copy this string right here and go over to any hex converter. This one will do. And we'll paste that string in. And we'll see that, yeah, indeed, the top item in this list, PPBL 2024-1002-right, that's exactly what we were seeing at the top of this list right here. Expiration time, they're all the same in this case. We're not getting into the details of changing those yet. And you can see here's the 300 ADA and 300 gimbals. So first item in this list is represented on chain like this. Cool. By the way, it gets easier to read these hex strings, for example, when you know that 2D, see it, is a dash, for example, right? So look at what we have here. We have PPBL 2024, P, P, B, there's the L, 32303234, that's 2024, dash, the lesson number, so in this case, it's 1002, and then the word right, dash right. So it's really quick and easy just to copy and paste duplicate write and edit tasks to quickly do this. It'll be even better to have a web-based interface for doing this very quickly. It's probably, 90 minutes or 2 hours of dev work that just needs to be done. That'll be a fun task. And in fact, I could see that happening, for example, at a session like this really soon. But hopefully this is helpful in just kind of understanding how the thing works. Now I'm looking at the list right here. There's 1002 right. Harsha was about to grab the edit one, which we would see is, I think it's the second one we're going to see here. Let's see. Right, 1011 edit. So that's good. And those were the last two that were left before 102. Now, the only one I see missing from this list right here is 1021 right. So I'm going to wait to do this until Harsha commits to this one, so I won't have to include this anymore. So I'm going to remove that one. Then we've got, look at it right here, 102.1. Here's the right task. So we don't need that one anymore because Sebastian claimed it. That's great. And then the rest of these are still in play. Edit. And we've got 1022 right and edit. 1023 right and edit. 1024, there's the 3-4, see it? Right and edit, and 1035, or 1025, sorry, right and edit. And so what Sebastian suggested is let's just split these writing tasks into two parts. Okay. So I'm going to leave the edit ones alone, but this one, we want to split it in two. So how might we do that? We can do this. Splitting the funds in half is easy. Okay. And this one says write. What if I just say write text and write code, something like that? How would that feel? Obviously, those words are not,
Yeah, really good.
right? Okay, so let's do that. Let me jump back over here. I'm just going to copy this part for just a second. Right, so we know this one says write 1022. Cool. But then let's switch the order and let's add a dash text right there. So the dash text looks like this. I can add that off screen. And then the dash code is going to look like this, 2D63, etc. That's going to go here. Now, when I jump back over here, I should just be able to replace the other lesson writing with this block right here, just remembering to change the last digit here really quickly, right? So let's do that. Let's make a copy of this. Let's go down to the next lesson. This is .3, so I'm going to replace this. And then anywhere that I see the 322D like this, just turn that into a 332D. Great. Let's copy that one. Let's replace lesson 4 and fix a single digit there. Okay, number 4. And then down to here. We'll replace that guy. And this is number. Okay. Clean that up. Looks good. Good. Just any technical questions so far? Like when you look at it like this, does that raise questions for anybody?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
This JSON goes into each contribution, each commitment. When you go to Cardano Scan, you can see a datum in the UTXO that is wrapping the data, the compensation. And there you can see the my question is, maybe I'm completely wrong.
Well,
Of
no,
course.
so you're saying when you look at Cardano Scan after you've made a commitment, right?
And I want to know, for example, okay, this commitment, this project is about what? So I go to the UTXO that has the escrow that has the compensations. And if you go to the hedge, if you go to the datum, you can see in the hex of the question is, I can see this JSON in Cardano Scan, all the list of the projects.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's look at a couple things. So yes, you can see this information on Cardano Scan. You could see this data in exactly the form I've written it here. You could review it, okay? It depends what transaction you're looking at, however. Where would you see precisely this data that's on my screen right now? That would be at the Treasury validator address, okay? The Treasury doesn't just hold some tokens, right? In this case, the Treasury holds some ADA tokens and some Gimbal tokens. But that's not all the Treasury does. The other thing the Treasury does is it holds a list of approved projects. And that's the list we are revising right here. Now, when a project is in this list and represented like this, somebody can make a commitment to it. Okay, what does it mean to make a commitment? It means that you are pulling tokens out of this treasury and placing them at another validator address. So you're saying, I want to do that project. And because I'm committing to it, those rewards are going to be reserved for me and only me. But it's not just about what the rewards are. It's about, was that project available to commit to in the first place? Because the only things that can be committed to are these things in this list, right? These projects that are also approved, which if you now follow that narrative, it gets really interesting because we say, okay, well, if you can see that project in an escrow, which means later it's going to be completed and somebody's going to have an on-chain attestation that they did that thing. The thing, right? The project they committed to has been on a journey. And the only way it comes out the end of that journey, right? The end of the journey where the contributor says, look, here's the evidence that I did this thing. The only way we can get to that end point is by starting by adding that project to this list right here in the first place. Okay. In other words, by listing something here, right, which is really listed here like this on chain, right? By listing something here, we initialize a process that ends with people having, I don't know if the word credential is appropriate to use right here, all right? An attestation. That's the word, that's the best word I can think of for now to like accurately describe what the thing is. An on-chain attestation from Gimbalabs that you did a thing. Harsha, do you have time to commit to this one right now, or should I leave it in the list for now so you can get it later?
I tried to commit it, but I'm not sure if it's because the wallet problem, like the wallet connected problem, but I'm not sure. It doesn't give me any feedback. So it is 102.1, right?
101.1.
Oh, now it's committing. Okay.
Okay.
It didn't commit like 2-3 minutes ago. But
Well, we got to get to the bottom of why, but we'll get there little by little. All right, so if you're committed to that one, that means I can move forward without including it in this list. It won't need to be there anymore. There are no guards in our validators that say that once you list a project, you have to keep it in the list. All right. So I'm about to run a transaction that I can only run as an admin. All right. So I mentioned a few minutes ago, one of the governance questions that we are just starting the research on right now here at Gimbalabs is who gets an admin token, right? But in order to make decisions about that governance question, it might be nice to know, well, what can an admin do in the first place? And that's what I'd like to demonstrate right here. The admin can update the list of projects that are approved. Okay. Anybody who holds an admin token can run the transaction that I'm about to run right here. And hopefully you can see that maybe there's a little fragility there, right? if anybody with an admin token can just come and change the list of projects anytime, well, A, that seems like a big responsibility, and B, hopefully that makes you wonder about, well, what are the multi-sig options here, right? Should that just be one person able to come in and change the whole list? Or might it be better if there's some kind of multiple approval process? That's what we get to figure out together. But for now, I hold one of the admin tokens. I can make this change just so we can see what it looks like. And those governance questions are still ahead of us. The guard in the validator is simply that the list we are saying right here, right, has to match the list in our redeemer. So let's just look at these. This is the redeemer for the managed transaction. This is the datum for the managed transaction. This one has 2 fields. Each of them are a list. The second list, which here only has 1 item, is the list of currency symbols that are approved to be contributors. So anybody holding a token with this currency symbol will be able to commit to a task here. It's slightly more complicated than that. It has to actually be a token pair. But leaving those details aside for now, right? Anybody who holds a token from a token pair with this policy ID is approved to be a contributor to this list of projects. For now, there's just 1 policy ID approved. It's just this prototype contributor, of which you can see right here, 14 have been minted so far, okay? If you searched for this policy ID on Cardano Scan, I'll just put this in the chat just in case anybody wants to take a look for themselves. You'll actually see that 28 tokens with this policy ID have been minted. That's because for each contributor, a pair is minted. So that's the second list. The first list is the list of projects, right? And it's the same in both the datum and the redeemer. So over here in the redeemer, here is the second list right here. This is the contributor policy ID. This points to a specific escrow. And so it's possible to have several different lists of projects with different decision makers behind them, all working from the same treasury. That's a feature that we're excited to explore more, but we're going to pin this one for just a minute. And I'll just tell you for now, this is the one that associates this particular list of projects with a given set of reviewers, essentially. It's this list that needs to match. So what I'm going to do right here is from this guy, from the redeemer, just delete this. There we go. So now I have an empty space where I can grab this list and this whole list of projects. Yeah, all of them. That. And I can paste it right here. All right, cool. So now my datum and my redeemer are good to go. Let's just make sure.
The list of projects in the data is the same list in the redeemer.
Yes, right. So the datum
Okay.
says here is the data we're going to put on chain. The redeemer says, hey, I want to build a transaction and I want to put this datum on chain, right? So like your redeemer is your statement of intent for that transaction, and the lists have to match. And it's a nice way just to check, right? That the data is what it is. Let me take So the only other thing then I have to do, so here's the transaction we're going to use right here. This is all in a script. There's one thing. So Adrian wrote this, and all I did is I just built by hand the datum and the redeemer, just so we could take a look at that together. And hopefully that was kind of helpful just for people to see what's going on under the hood there. But the one thing I have to do by hand in this transaction, just because I'm a little lazy, is grab the current contract token UTXO. But in the spirit of PPBL, hopefully this is helpful too. Let's head over to Cardano CLI. Where I have a synced mainnet node running. And let me navigate to here. So I want to be able to look at this file. And then let's query the Treasury address. I'll put this address in chat as well, just in case anybody wants to look at that on Cardano Scan and try to find the datum that we were just talking about. Here's our Treasury address. And how many UTXOs do we have here? We've got 4. 2 of them have a very simple datum in them. This guy. And this is the same. And this is just maybe the most simple datum you can write. It's just constructor 0, and then the fields are empty, right? Script constructor 0 with empty fields. But these other 2, these are lists of projects. Now this one we're going to come back to later, right? This is an example of a list of projects that points to a different escrow address. And we're kind of just playing around with ways to implement this. That's why this one's just sitting here, waiting for some action. But most of the action's happening right here. And you can see this datum. It's not too easy to read from where we are, but at least on Cardano CLI, it's translated from hex for us, right? So here's that PPBL 2024 102.5 write task, for example. And you can see the rest of these up here, okay? By the way, with any query, remember, you can always just type out file, and you could save the results. We'll call this one treasury.json. And so this will not print to the screen. It just saves a file called treasury.json in my current directory. I could view that file, and when I do, I'll see something that looks familiar. Ah, there's that list of projects. There they are, in the form that we were just looking at them, right? And this is what you'll be able to find on Cardano Scan if you look at that Treasury address. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to spend the UTXO that's currently there. So this is the contract UTXO. It has 1 contract token in it. And the name of this token, if you were looking closely, you might recognize the name of this token was the 3rd field in my redeemer. Okay. But let's just grab this. Oh, and actually, Harsha, did that go through? Oh, yeah, it did.
It did.
Okay, so let me. Is it still here though? I think I might wanna. Yeah, okay, so look. I'm gonna make this query again now that your transaction went through, and this UTXO probably won't be here anymore. Let's see. Oh, you just grabbed 102.4 edit, which is great. 102.4.
Cancel out your
Oh, sorry, man.
person, please.
Harsha, yeah, I meant for you to grab 101.1 edit. But it looks like maybe.
I'll do that. I thought I grabbed 102.1, but yeah, I'll
Don't
double
worry,
check
don't
and
worry.
reconnect.
So let's just here. It's the same funds. So to operate this system imperfectly, but just for the sake of efficiency in this moment, here's what we'll do. I'm going to distribute that one to you, but we're going to say that it was for this. Is that okay? And so that'll just make it a little quicker and easier to do this for right now. Okay, so that one can be distributed. Let me take a moment to do that. 1 second. So up to date there. Right, here's what it looks like. If it works, I should be able to review. I see the task here, 102. Oh, it is 102.1 edit. Okay. That's okay. Okay, so we'll keep. Obviously, right, there's no like dialogue that pops up saying success. There's just a little transaction hash in the console. So once again, not a production grade application yet, but the bones work, and that was our goal. Okay, so we've got that distributed. That was 102.1 edit, which is great. We can mark that over here. But we're going to say that that was for one. Actually, let's just do it properly then. Okay, 102.1 edit is now done. Treasury done. So I don't want 102.1 any longer in this list. So let's do this again. Look at this list. I'm going to delete the list from the redeemer. I'm going to go to the datum. I'm going to find 102.1, edit, and remove it. 102. 102.1. This was, I think this is it. So this is the one we just used. We can get rid of that. but I'm gonna move it up to the top. Oh, could have just leave it in the same spot, but I could just change the number to 101.1. 1011, which is still awaiting commitment. Okay, so this is now a fully accurate list. We will have done no fudging of which represents what here, which is nice. And I'm going to copy this list in its current state back into the Redeemer where we can save it. Okay. Then we're going to head back over here. And we should see that these UTXOs are different now. Or they already were. Okay, this was the already updated version. It still has that, which is what we'd expect. Okay, so this is the UTXO I now want to spend from the Treasury. That's my input. And everything else should be automatic here as long as those are good. So one thing I like to do is, we're using mainnet right here. We're building this thing a little bit by hand. Maybe I don't want to fire it off right away. Maybe I just want to make sure that it's working. Right, so I can comment out the sign and submit. I can call on this script right here. Let's just see if this is successful. This one takes a little while because it's making a few different queries to my local node. Good, and it looks like it worked just fine. And if it doesn't work just fine, the worst thing that could happen is I've made an error in the list of projects, right? I know that my list of projects is the same in my datum and my Redeemer because this transaction built successfully. And if there was an inconsistency there, the validator would have stopped this from validating in the first place. So that's great news, right? If I made a mistake, it's going to be in the form of a typo in the project list, and I'll discover that as soon as we look at the results of this transaction in the front end, right? It's a really nice level of kind of assurance that you start to get to, right? When you're using Cardano the way it's meant to be used. So there we go. Let's just run this transaction again, this time with the sign and the submit. Okay. And soon we'll be able to see those results in the front end. While we wait for this transaction to confirm on chain, let me just share screen over here for just a minute so that we can compare the progress tracking we're doing in Notion to what we're seeing in the on-chain treasury. So here's our list. At this point, we need to track down Chris just for 100.2. And then Harsha, you just claimed 102.1?
Yeah, 102.1.
which is here. Okay, and that one's now marked done. Excellent. So just this one, 101.1, make sure to grab that one as well. And then we are all up to date through 102.1. I'm not sure why these are out of order like that, but close enough. Maybe I should just sort by this column. Can I do that? Ascending. There we go. 101.1. Good. 102.1 up to date. Look at all that green. Excellent. So now the rest of this 102.2, Sebastian wrote it and we're awaiting the transaction. We just redid these in the Treasury so that he and I could each claim half of this. That's great. The edit tasks, we need final sign off from Harsha and Alex. That lessons 102.2 and 3 look good. As soon as you guys are good on those, just drop a note in the Discord. Yep.
101.1, I'm not able to commit to that for some reason.
You might have to refresh the page because we just changed the UTXOs in the Treasury. So check that the list, that might be just a momentary thing.
Yeah. Now it's working. Yeah.
Okay. Sebastian has a question. What do you think?
Yeah, we were looking at this visual where we have the list of commitments made under that proposal. Is this a pattern? For example, the Ken's case, for example, he is in charge of the Gimbalabs website. Each proposal in Notion has this kind of list of commitments. For example, here we are talking about the general proposal is delivering the Plutus PBL. Ken's has a proposal about the Gimbalabs designing website. But let's say, for example, we have one proposal that has, like in the case of this PPBL, has several interactions. So each that will be or is in this moment the way to manage the information.
Both of them are options, right? So I think it's still too early to have a definitive answer to say this is how we do things, right? But yeah, one option is here's the proposal doc that I used back in March to propose that we build PPBL 2024. We refined the proposal together until it passed. And then once it passed and it was time to get to work, we used the embedded Notion feature of having a list of tasks as part of that larger project. This is absolutely an option that we can use, but I don't think collectively we're to the point where we say, this is the one and only way it must be.
Okay.
And just to compare it, like you said, for Ken's proposal, it was a single proposal for a month of work on one project. And we've decided not to micromanage Ken, right? We said, okay, look, here's the 2000 ADA. Here's what you said you were going to do. See you on June 19th, right? I think there's a lot of benefits towards building an organization like that doesn't micromanage. So I don't want to race to force people to break things up into smaller parts. But when it's a group of people, right? Why did we do it this way? Because there's a lot of different people contributing, and this tool serves us. And if I had to think about, right, like a hope for technology, right? An intention for how we use technology is, yeah, let's make sure it serves us, right? If we're ever serving the tech, we're doing it wrong, right? So here the tech is serving us to organize several different people on the work, but that doesn't mean we have to, when one person is working on a project, make them break things down artificially.
thing is, after your explanation about the what the treasury instance works inside, and I'm starting to think, extrapolating a little bit about how this can work, how we can adapt this to several organizations, any organization, small organizations, and how can this can work really good in a really good way.
I think a lot of different people have thought about, okay, how can we get Notion and the contributor platform talking to each other? Nelson did a little bit of research a few months back. Alex was starting to take some notes on what he might want Notion to be able to do in relation. But yeah, I think there's some really excellent R&D that we can be doing right here. And what are the most important patterns for using a task list like this? Keep it up, partner. Thanks. So you'll notice I didn't handle 103 yet in the Treasury list of projects, but we should be able to run through what's there right now. Of course, right now it's inefficient, right? Ideally, I would be able to just go and grab my writing rewards for all 4 of these lessons in a single transaction. And as of this minute, I can't yet do it that way. So that's not, that's maybe something we want to improve before going to production, but that's exactly why we're playing with this right now. On the other hand, our intention moving forward is for people to actually be dynamically committing to one thing at a time, right? So part of the reason I want to commit to 4 things at once is because we have a little bit of a backlog and we're catching up with it right now. So progress, good. So let me just, in closing, let's go back to the web view where let's see if this looks correct. There's now 13 projects listed, but what are they? How's that look? 1022, write text, write code, and edit. 150 in rewards each. Looks good to me. Any questions? All right. So yeah, if everybody can, this refers to, I think Harsha's caught up. Harsha needs 1022 edit. So we can say that one's awaiting transaction. And Alex has 1023 edit, so that's awaiting transaction. And that's going to get us through between Sebastian, Harsha, Alex, and me. That'll get us to the end of 102. So I'll be watching this and I'll approve those as they come in. Then we can post 103, which is almost done. Maybe we'll have some time to look at that tomorrow. And then 201, which was due today, but we're a little bit behind, and that's okay. So 201 is next, but maybe that can be a module where we're really starting to use the Treasury in real time as we work on stuff. So maybe we can be there by tomorrow. Good for today?
Sure. Thanks a lot. Great session. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a chance to look at this.
I have a general question, James.
Yeah.
Should we commit before we do the work, or should we commit after we finish the work in general? How are you thinking about it?
This application was built in hopes that it would be commit first and do the work.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but we haven't yet gotten to that point. Or should we do a super quick checkout round? Sebastian, how you leaving us today?
Really excited, man. Really excited because this provides me really key information in several areas of my work. Thanks a lot.
You're here. And Claudio.
Good. I commend you for the hard work. I mean, I hope it gets rewarded. Despite my skepticism about how Cardano gets promoted, but hopefully some people will come to appreciate all the hard work being done here. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Harsha.
I'm feeling pretty good. I got some gimbals and ADA, so feels great.
Woo. And Mix.
Yeah, it was good. A great meeting. I wasn't around for quite some time, and I'm glad to see all this progress. And looking forward for the Plutus PBL reach to a level that I can participate. You know, like 300, 200. I don't know. Today, that level is called what? But the level that I can bring people to the rabbit hole. You know, I want to hunt the students. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that time. Thank you.
I could get behind that primary driver. That sounds good. Bring as many students as possible to Mix's rabbit hole. Let's go. Ken, how you leaving us?
Oh, good. Yeah, just it's good to see how the process is coming together, and just thinking about the future of how things will work out through all this stuff.
Love it. And Nelson.
Yeah, I really had fun looking at all of this. It's nice to see an improvement on contributions to creating the course compared to the last time. So I think I see this as a major improvement. So I'm glad this is happening. Yeah, love it.
Thanks, partner. Cool. Guys, thanks for the time to talk that stuff through today. Yeah, excited about the progress of this stuff and eager to see what we do next. See you at Open Spaces tomorrow, if not sooner. Have a good one, everybody.
Hey, guys.